go first, Dad?
Oh, if you want me to. Well, I was born in Otaronga. I lived down at Rewa for till I was 19. Then we moved to Wada and we were there or around about Hamilton till we came over here in 1994.
And when did you first come here?
I came through here in 1953, I think it was. Passed through the town, didn't stop. There was nothing here. I think we might have stopped at the Sir George grave for 5 minutes to wet our whistle because it was a long way, and then we carried on down as far as Tairua from Thames that day. When Karen was about 5 years old, we came and we stopped here, and the kids were all catching fish on the wharf, and she thought it was a marvellous place, much better than going out in the boat. So we came over here for a holiday in the caravan fishing club was.
Down at the wharf.
So what did you do before you came here?
What work did I do? Well, I was shearing mostly, and a bit of all sorts. I had a courier run for about 4 years when they very first started in Hamilton. There were only 4 of us. Then I went and worked at the bus depot for when I sold that, and then I went to telecom for a bit. I was with telecom when I came here.
So Tina, a bit about your background, please.
Yes, well, I was born in Pukekohe, the youngest of 7. My maiden name was Goodger. We lived out, Dad was a head shepherd, and we lived out at Port Waikato. And some of my eldest sisters went to Port Waikato school. We moved from there down to Korokanui, and then back up again to Onefaro. That's where I went to school. Spent most of my time at school was at Onefaro School. We used to leave. My brother and I used to leave home at 7 o'clock in the morning, get home at 5 o'clock at night. We had a 2-hour bus trip every day to go to school. I went to Tiamutu College for college, and then I worked moved in with my sister in Wata and went to work at Tairua. Not long after that I met Arthur, and not long after that we got married, and we lived in a little cottage in Higginson's Road to start with. We've got 2 children, Bruce and Karen, and I started work again when the kids were big enough. I worked at Abel's supermarket at Glenview for a while, and then I brought the bookshop there and had it for about 8 years, I think. I owned the bookshop, and then I sold it. Then I went to Foodtown. I thought I was going to retire, and that drove me silly. I painted the house that we lived in, and then I had nothing to do. Then I went to Foodtown, and I became their field specialist in the offices, and I looked after about 15 of their markets in those days, travelling from Auckland right down to Wellington, looking after the markets and the office side of it, training the managers and what have you. And then we moved over here. I retired from that, got tired of driving.
So what year was it that you finally moved here?
1994. We brought the section in 1990, and Dougie Hayward built the house. He built the flat underneath and just built the frame upstairs, and we did the rest on weekends, and we moved over here in 1994.
And you thought you were coming to retirement?
Yeah.
We did.
I did.
How did that work out?
He did, I didn't.
Okay, so what did you get up to when you arrived here then, Tina?
Well, our situation was that Arthur retired, but they changed the age of the super at the same time, so he didn't get to retire quite so easily. So I worked one day a week down at Foursquare in those days to get to know people and to have a little bit of income. I joined a lot of different things. I helped in the library. I was helped in the library in the information centre. We joined the fishing club, and I became the secretary treasurer of that for a number of years. We joined golf. We both learnt to play golf. We thought in our old age we could play golf together.
They played on different days.
And I became club captain there for the ladies for a couple of years, and I've worked in the kitchen up there and done things. I've volunteered now for nearly 60 years, and I think I'm just about due to retire.
So who were the important people in town?
The important ones were the
Ones like the McNabb family was well renowned. The Price family, because Rex was the harbour master, and he held a responsible position here.
Brian Cullen.
Yeah, Brian and Betty Cullen, of course, were. Brian had been a harbour master. He was part of he was part of the fire brigade. They'd lived here for a long time. They used to do the mail run from here in the early days, and take people to hospital in the back of their station wagon, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was before our time.
That was well before us. They'd been here a long time. The Cullens were an old identity in town.
So Jack, tell us about the fishing when you first came here. What was it like?
Well, I don't think it was probably because I didn't know very much. Didn't know where to go, and sounders weren't on the menu. We had a flashing light that went round and round. That was the nearest thing you had to a sounder, and it was pretty hit and miss. So the fishing wasn't. It probably was better than it is now. But snapper fishing, I don't think's ever been better. But there were a lot of Cherokee and that were very easy to catch. You could catch them enough 20 or so in an hour without even trying. Be home again many times before 11 o'clock. When we first started to come over here on holiday, there was I think it was before the causeway, there was a fisherman here called, I don't know what his surname was, but he was called Snow. We knew him as Snow.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know whether it was once or twice a week, he'd pull into the Parku Wharf, and everybody would go down and get fish off him, but it was practically all trevally. He'd cut the heads and get off and gut them and give you the rest, and he just used to do it at the wharf. We just used to throw it all over, and the fish you'd come around in the thousands. But that was very early on when we very first come over on holiday.
Early 70s, yeah.
I think the biggest was from more or less from when we came.
Yeah.
It seemed to build up a lot more when they put the causeway and the people were a bit more affluent, yeah. But they were Whittianga and Whangamata, people went there first and then came here second. They didn't realise what they were missing.
We used to camp over at the big camping ground that was at the base of Parku. Yeah, where the marina is and those orange apartments and that was all camping ground in our day in the 70s. And we used to have to get there. We used to have to go out of town and along Ocean Beach Road to start with till the causeway opened.
It wasn't very long.
I think it was mid 70s, was it, the causeway went in, or
I can't.
80s?
I don't know.
Dates like that I can't remember. Yeah.
And how many years did you camp there for?
20. Those days there were very few permanent homes on even Paku. This here was all just raw land. We were the first to build on this subdivision in 1990.
But there were no houses up the hill. No
Tairua Heights or
Tairua Heights wasn't there. There was nothing on that side of the Pepper.
As that photo shows how that photo that I gave you shows how little population of building there was in town. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about the
Church.
Yeah, the Catholic church that was over the road.
Yeah. Father Bennett was the man in the day. It was down just on the corner of Bayview Terrace here. And the building now is, as you go out of town, if you look up when you get past the road to the dump and that, you'll see a building right up on top of a hill, and that's where the church ended up.
So this Father Bennett, he's the historian? He's
the one that wrote the book. Yeah. A lovely old chap, yeah.
How long was he here for, do you know?
Well, he was here. He was well established when we came, and he retired. They built the big church around off Corey Wright.
What did you end up doing?
Well, I did a few odd jobs around, and then, as I say, mostly either fishing or the golf club or just
enjoying retirement.
Just generally, yeah.
Well, he still mows up at the golf club.
Yeah.
He's been mowing up there for about 25 years.
Was there any Maori influence when with
very few.
Very few.
Very
just as it is now.
Maoris here at all.
Yeah. But what it was, that was from what I see, it was very. From what I've seen, it was very convivial at the time.
Yes. Yeah. There's never been a problem.
No.
Never been a problem.
Well,
and the Maoris.
The Maori cop and that.
Yeah, because he was one of the best policemen we've ever had. Nick Packy.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he was great.
Right.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Yeah. Okay. So the attitude right now in town is that it's such a good village. And it takes a village to look after it. It takes everyone to look after a village, and that's still there. Has that always been the case?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Well, I think you're made feel welcome right from day one, and if you need a hand, it's usually there. Somebody can help you, or it's always been a lovely village.
Yeah.
I think the reason why is that it always was so isolated before they had the 205A, 25A. It was
isolated.
It was very isolated, and they had to look after each other. It was mostly old families that have been here for, like the Corey Wrights and the Cullens, and they've been here pretty well forever, and that was how it was, and it stayed there.
So tell us about the day the settler
settled.
Settled.
Do you want to, or will I?
No, you.
Well, it had just been all refurbished, and it was their grand first launching of it going out, and they decided to go out to Slipper and have a picnic.
Yeah, and that was to thank all the people.
To thank all the people that had helped do everything and get it going in the true Tairuan way. And it had bunting on it, and we watched it go out. We weren't living upstairs in those days, we were living downstairs, but that house in front of us wasn't there, so we had a good view of everything like we've got now. And we watched it go out over the bar, and later in the afternoon we were sitting outside, and my brother-in-law and sister were here that day, and he said, "Oh, look at that old boat coming in. Look at it coming in, doesn't it look lovely?" The next thing, it disappeared. and it caught a wave, I suppose, and went in on the rocks at the bar there, and it got grounded, and they had to rescue everybody off the actual boat, because and there was, I can remember there was one man that was in a wheelchair, and that was and he had an artificial leg, and that was a work of art.
That was lost.
That was, yeah, the leg got lost, but no, it was quite spectacular, and we went over and took some of those the photos of it.
I'm sure the village turned too anyway.
Yeah, the people were climbing all around the place. Yeah. And they eventually somehow floated it up and brought it in, over the bar.
And so, do you know what happened to the settler?
Up the hill, yeah.
And behind the old mill.
Yeah, just across the road.
It never went back in the water again.
No.
It got refurbished. Did a
They were
maiden
talking
voyage.
about
Yeah,
it,
and
came
they
to
tried
grief.
to raise
It
money,
was,
but
it was its maiden voyage and its last voyage.
Whereabouts was the vessel refurbished in Tairua?
It must have been.
Yeah, I think they did it over in the boat shed,
Over in the boat shed, because there was a boat shed over
where the marina is.
where that people could use to put their boats up on the hard and do the bottom and paint and that. There was a shed there by that old boat that's there now, by the Nauru.
Yep.
In fact, probably where the Nauru is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. And that was refurbished there. Yeah.
Talking of the Nauru, when did that arrive?
They towed it in.
It was a ferry up in Auckland, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a ferry up in Auckland.
So they towed it in for its final resting place where it is now.
Yeah.
Any idea?
I don't know the exact date. I can remember them doing it, and they dug a big hole with a forklift, with a diggers, and floated it in, and then blocked it off and filled it up with concrete. The hole.
Right, so they must
It's
have
all
jacked
sit-
it up
it's
from
sitting,
there.
sitting on a block of concrete.
Any idea when?
But
Yeah, 15 to 20 years ago.
So you both obviously had great fishing days. Tina, you've obviously had one particular great fishing day.
Yeah, I was very, very lucky. It was the first of the... We had joined the club well and truly by then, and our neighbour across the road, Marlene Henderson, was one of the top people at the club, and we had the first Ladies' Day fishing tournament in 1995, and Marlene asked me if I would go out with her and Kevin, and Julie Elliott came out with us too. It was Julie's first time, I think, out well, it was the first ladies' fishing day, and we went out on Sunshine, Kev's boat, and at about 10 o'clock, we took turns because there was three of us to sit in the chair, 20 minutes in the chair each for the hour, and if a big fish got on, it was your fish. And at about 10 o'clock, I think, in the morning, Marlene was in the chair, and she hooked a marlin and played it and brought it in, and it weighed, when we brought it in, 102 kgs. And about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon that day, I was in the chair and I hooked one. And an hour and 20 minutes later, I'd landed my marlin, and it was 151 kgs, and it held the record for the club up till about 3 or 4 years ago, when it was beaten for the ladies in marlin. And that particular year, they didn't have all the prizes like they have these days. Marlene went down and got a box of groceries, I think, for me, because I'd scooped the pool and done so well. But I did scoop the pool at the prize giving, and I got the most notorious fish, and I got the ladies' fish, and I got the marlin fish, and I think I ended up with about 5 trophies, plus a couple of other little things. Yeah.
Nice. Is it still top secret as to where you hooked it up?
No, it was out at the Aldi's. It was just behind the Aldi's. We were putting my marlin on the backboard on the top of Marlene's marlin, because we brought both them in, and lifting with Marlene, Julie and I and Kevin, just trying to lift that marlin on top of the other one and tie it on was, that took just about as long as bringing the jolly fish in. No, it was a wonderful day and one I'll never forget, but I never want to catch another one because they're too beautiful to catch and bring in. Yeah, they're beautiful fish.
Arthur, tell us about your best fishing day if you can recall one.
I don't know. I've had an awful lot of very, very good days fishing.
You've had an awful lot of fishing, mate, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah. Fishing and golf.
Do you think the harbour's changed much over the years?
No, not really. It's when I first got the big boat, we used to have to go hard over against the Pawanui Wharf and down there, and then you'd be there for a couple of months, and then it'd go back to more or less where the main channel is now, and then it would slowly work its way back again.
The only thing I'd like to comment on is the growth of the town, at the commercial part of town since we've come in 1990, because the petrol pumps were down on the corner. The town was down on the corner of
Yeah, but all the town was
when we came in,
where
in 70. That's where the town was, where the bakery is and the vet is. There was two houses outside there. That was the town. There was the hall. There was a little thing that was the hall in those days. The picture theatre, and that was about it. And along the front of the Pepe Reserve was all big pine trees, which they've now taken down. But now we've got quite a lovely little town. And they have nice things. It's a great place to shop.
So what you're saying was the town was around where the bakery is and around where the Sir George Grey Hotel was, and that was the town.
That was the centre of the city.
If you wanted petrol, you had to pull up at the houses in front of, go off on the corner there and get your petrol at the vet's door. What's now the vet's door. No, it's grown. It's a lovely little place. Yeah.
But they've always had to jump off the bridge.
Yeah. Even our kids and our two.
How about you two? Did you do it?
I never.
I think I might have several times way back in the day, but I wouldn't try. I couldn't climb up on the side of the thing to fall off. I'd have to fall off. No, well, in our kids used to love, and our nieces and nephews when they came over, and the grandchildren, our two granddaughters, when they came for holidays, they used to love jumping off the bridge. That was a must-do, was go and jump off the bridge. And it still is, yes.
Lovely icon, isn't it?
It is. It's really nice. It's a modern day thing. The walkway around the walk around the estuary.
They always had those walkways.
Yeah.
So just tell us a little bit about that photograph, Tina.
Well, this one we took when we were camping over at the base of Paku. I would say it was probably in the late 70s, because it's just rough up on top of the hill, and they've now got a seat and other things there. But this picture shows that there is no causeway bridge, there is no housing in where the village is now. Corey Wright Drive is practically empty. The orchard is shown, but there's no houses around it or anything like that. And even on one side of the Ocean Beach Road, on the right-hand side as you come in from that end, there's no houses there either. So see, look, there's no houses there. Yeah, and it just shows how much the town has grown over the years since. I would say this is probably 75 between 75 and 78 that I took this photo.
Mm.
And it's just amazing how it's grown.
One of the ladies' days competitions, and I had to babysit the granddaughters. They were, I think, 9, and we had the tsunami warning. Tina had gone out. They'd gone out on the ladies' day, and at about 11 o'clock they said, "Oh, the warning's over. It's all right now." So I rang John. And I said, "You want to go fishing? The girls want to go out. And we'll go fishing." So I got the boat in, and John said, "Okay." We got the boat in. I should have realised at the time. Pulled into the wharf, and the tide was coming in. And we got the girls on, and we started off, and the tide was going out. And oh, that's a bit funny. But I kept on going, and I got down, halfway down where the boats are moored, and the tide's coming in again, and it's coming in at a hell of a rate. And my poor old boat, it wasn't very strong. And here I was, stuck in the middle of the channel. It couldn't go forward for the rate of the current. And we looked it over, Courtney looks over the side. She said, "Oh, is that a whirlpool, Grandad?" And on the Pawanui, by the Pawanui wharf, there's a great big whirlpool. And then I looked in on the other side, there's a great big one heading up towards the Paku one. And my poor old boat stuck in the middle. I couldn't, flat out, it wasn't moving an inch, just going a bit side to side. And then after a little while it passed, and we went on out and had our fish. But it was the scariest moment I've had on my boat.
Mm. So tell us about the horses crossing.
Well, I know I think it was Diane. Diane Short. I'd seen them riding from here across to Pawanui when the tide was right out, and the low flats.
The blow carts out on the sand too. When this harbour is never quiet. Even if the tide's in, there people and boats and things. But when it's out, there's just as much activity on the sand as what there is. We don't see the horses now. It used to be a marvellous thing to watch them swim across to, ride across to Pawanui. Yeah.
I've even seen the aeroplane land down there a couple of times. It was a tiger moth way back in the very early days.
How long did it stay there? It just arrived and took off, did it?
Arthur?
Yeah. I think it stayed there for a wee while, but not very long.
People in it.
Well, you two make up part of the lovely crew, and I'd like to thank you for your time and your efforts and your expertise and your love for the town, and all the voluntary work that you've done, and your participation.
Well, thank you very
much. You've been great people. Thank you very much.